Series on bacteria for people who are in medical school and have to know them, or people just studying for their step 1 exam, or people who are just kind of curious about it. So I'm just going to start with Bacillus. So Bacillus just means a rod-shaped bacteria. They kind of look like little tiny sticks. And it typically can refer to the shape as well as the genus, which is Bacillus. Under Bacillus, we have Bacillus anthracus and Bacillus ceres. So I'm just going to go back and forth and talk about a little bit of each and what you might have to know for your exam or in general. Okay, so these are both rod-shaped bacteria in the Bacillus family. I start by thinking they're gram-positive. And they stain purple. So the reason that they stain purple is they have a thick peptidoglycan wall, and that applies to both of them. And basically this thick wall is able to hold dye, and that's why they're purple. Okay, this also kind of gives it a thick outer structure, and gram-positive bacteria in general are more susceptible to certain antibiotics, such as penicillin. So starting with Bacillus anthracus. So we talked about it's rod-shaped, it's gram-positive, but there's some other features that would distinguish it from Bacillus ceres. So for example, Bacillus anthracus is non-motile, versus Bacillus ceres is motile and has flagella, which are these little tails that help it move around. Bacillus anthracus has a capsule, which is a protective coating that prevents phagocytosis, and it's due to the poly-D-glutamate capsule. Bacillus ceres is motile but has no capsule. Both are spore forming. And the main disease associated with Bacillus anthracus is anthrax, which I'm sure you've heard of. And the main disease that is associated with Bacillus ceres is food poisoning. Bacillus ceres is particularly associated when we're thinking in terms of transmission with animal products and spores. And then Bacillus ceres, when I think of it, automatically I'm thinking food, particularly or especially reheated rice. So what else? So again, to kind of think of its presentation, Bacillus anthracus has a cutaneous presentation and a pulmonary presentation mostly. The more common one is the cutaneous anthrax. And this presents as a black Escher that can have edema around it. And this edema is due to edema factor. Then we have the pulmonary anthrax, which is due to inhaled spores. It's most deadly, and it can present as a flu or flu-like symptoms, severe respiratory distress, and a widened mediastinum on imaging. Bacillus ceres, we have also two presentations. We're going to have the medic or vomiting type, and then the diarrheal type. The emetic or vomiting type is a more rapid onset, so it's going to be in under 6 hours after eating. So for example, what mostly causes this type is reheated rice, and it's caused by a preformed toxin. So again, it's a preformed toxin. We eat the reheated rice, and in under 6 hours, we're vomiting. In the diarrheal type, it's a little bit slower. It's typically in over 6 hours after eating. The food that can cause it is meat or veggies or things like that. And then the cause in this one is actually toxin made in the gut. One other thing I just wanted to add for Bacillus anthracus is that there's some key toxins to know. So the toxins, which one I mentioned before was edema factor. It's edema factor and lethal factor. They also have an antigen called protective antigen, but these factors are what causes massive tissue damage. And really, I would emphasize knowing the poly-D-glutamate capsule. So this makes it very unique. And that it's just to differentiate between Bacillus anthracus being non-motile, having a capsule, versus Bacillus cereus being no capsule and being motile due to its flagella. And that's basically it. I'll see you for the next one.